Wisdom, wisdom, that's the test. Which rival wisdom team is best? Quote definitions and synergies defined by Claude AI, coordinated by Grandpa Lou Valier. Take care and enjoy.
Team 49. Think and feel. Quote definitions, biographical context and synergy analysis to replace hate with motivational education to guidealife.com. Quote 49.1. Nothing great has ever been accomplished without passion. Georg Wilhelm Friedrich Hegel 1770 to 1831. Quote definition, every genuinely great achievement, in science, art, politics, social transformation, or human understanding, has been driven by the passionate commitment of the people who produced it. Passion is not a supplement to reason and planning but their necessary fuel. It is what sustains effort through difficulty, what recovers from setback, what refuses to stop when competent but dispassionate effort would have moved on to something easier. Quote application. The mission of making America wiser and kinder requires exactly the passion Hegel names as the necessary condition of great accomplishment. The sustained engagement with human dignity over years and decades, the persistence through resistance and slow progress, the genuine care for the outcome that keeps the work going when nothing external enforces it. All of this is passion, and without it nothing great can be accomplished, in the mission or anywhere else. Georg Wilhelm Friedrich Hegel was born in 1770 in Stuttgart, Württemberg, educated at the Tübinger Stift Theological Seminary alongside Schelling and Hölderlin, and became the most influential and most difficult German philosopher of the 19th century. His phenomenology of spirit, science of logic, and philosophy of right established the dialectical framework that shaped Marx, Kierkegaard, and virtually every subsequent European intellectual tradition. His observation about passion and great accomplishment comes from his philosophy of history, where he argues that world historical individuals, the Caesars, the Napoleons, the Luthers, were moved not merely by rational calculation of the historical moment but by the passionate identification with the historical force they embodied. He had studied enough of human history to conclude that dispassionate competence, however admirable, had never produced what passion, allied with intelligence, consistently achieved. This quote specifically encourages individuals to 1. Cultivate genuine passion for the mission's work, not performed enthusiasm but actual deep caring about what the work is for, as the necessary condition of the greatness that dispassionate competence alone cannot reach. 2. Recognize passion as the fuel that keeps genuine commitment going through the difficulty and resistance that competence alone would abandon. 3. Apply Hegel's historical observation to the mission. Nothing great, no genuine cultural transformation, no real replacement of hatred with wisdom, has ever been accomplished without the passion of those who drove it.
Quote 49.2. Man's greatness lies in his power of thought. Blaise Pascal 1623 to 1662. Quote definition. Among all the qualities and capacities available to human beings, physical strength, social influence, material resources, artistic beauty, the capacity for genuine thought is the most distinctively human and the most genuinely great. It is thought that enables everything else, the strategy that directs strength, the wisdom that guides influence, the planning that multiplies resources, the vision that produces beauty. Greatness is grounded in thought. Quote application. The passion that Hegel names as great accomplishment's necessary condition operates most powerfully when it is allied with the power of thought that Pascal identifies as humanity's greatest capacity. The mission of making America wiser and kinder is fundamentally a thought project, developing better thoughts about human dignity, about the costs of hatred, about the possibilities of wisdom, and it honors Pascal's insight by taking thought seriously as the primary instrument of the transformation it seeks. Blaise Pascal appears in teams 43 and 46 as well, where his observations about kind words, asymmetry, and happiness as practice anchored those frameworks. Born in 1623 in Clermont-Ferrand and showing mathematical genius from childhood, Pascal invented one of the first mechanical calculators at 19, made foundational contributions to probability theory and fluid mechanics, and underwent the religious conversion that redirected his final years toward the theological fragments collected as the Pensées. His observation about human greatness lying in the power of thought comes from the Pensées, where he develops his famous image of the human being as a thinking reed, fragile as a reed in the face of physical nature, great beyond nature through the capacity for genuine thought that nature does not share. The universe can crush the human being without knowing it. The human being, knowing it, is greater than the universe that crushes it. This quote specifically encourages individuals to 1. Honor the power of thought, genuine, deep, disciplined thinking about what matters, as the most distinctively human and most genuinely great capacity available, and invest in developing it accordingly. 2. Recognize that the mission's wisdom education is development of the power of thought specifically, building the thinking capacity that Pascal identifies as humanity's greatness, and that this is the most direct available investment in genuine human greatness. 3. Apply Pascal's greatness in thought to the full thinking and feeling title of Team 49. Thought and passion together constitute the complete human greatness. Neither alone is sufficient, and the combination is what great accomplishment requires.
Quote 49.3. I could never hate anyone I really know. Charles Lamb, 1775 to 1834. Quote definition. Genuine hatred depends on genuine ignorance, the dehumanizing reduction of the other to a category, a type, a threat, and dissolves in the face of genuine personal knowledge. The person truly known in their specific humanity, their particular history, their individual contradictions and genuine qualities, cannot be hated with the full force that the unknown type inspires. Knowledge is the specific antidote to the specific poison of hatred. Quote application. This is one of the most direct available statements of the mission's core mechanism. If hatred requires not knowing and dissolves in knowing, then every genuine wisdom encounter that expands what people actually know about the humanity of those they currently hate is a direct intervention against the hatred. The mission creates knowing, the real kind, the personal kind, the kind that makes Lamb's observation true for everyone who experiences it. Charles Lamb appears in Teams 26 and 35 as well, where his desire to grow old slowly and familiarity's effects on beauty anchored those frameworks. Born in 1775 in London, educated briefly at Christ's Hospital alongside Coleridge, and spending most of his adult life as a clerk at the East India Company while caring for his sister Mary, who had killed their mother in a fit of madness and required lifelong care. Lamb wrote the Essays of Elia with a combination of warmth, wit, and genuine humanity that made him one of the most personally beloved writers of the Romantic era. His observation that he could never hate anyone he really knew reflects the character of a man whose personal warmth was itself the evidence. He genuinely knew people across an extraordinary range of social positions and literary temperaments, and the knowing consistently dissolved whatever prejudice the not knowing might have sustained. He had tested his own observation and found it true. This quote specifically encourages individuals to 1. Pursue genuine knowledge of the people toward whom hatred or prejudice has been operating, because the specific antidote to the ignorance that hatred requires is the genuine personal knowledge that dissolves it. 2. Apply Lamb's observation as the mission's core mechanism statement. Every genuine human encounter that replaces category knowledge with personal knowledge is a direct intervention against the hatred that category knowledge sustains. 3. Use this as the standing encouragement for the slow, personal, difficult work of genuine encounter. You cannot hate what you really know, which means every act of genuine knowing is an act of replacing hatred with its specific antidote.
Quote 49.4. Prevention is better than cure. Desiderius Erasmus 1466 to 1536. Quote definition. The investment in preventing harm before it occurs is less costly, less painful, and more effective than the treatment of harm after it has been inflicted. This applies to medicine, to politics, to social damage, and to the harm that hatred does in communities. The wisdom education that prevents hatred from taking root is vastly cheaper and more effective than the rehabilitation that must address it after it has formed and entrenched. Quote application. The mission's wisdom education for young people, the workbooks, the quotes, the principles taught before hatred's habits are formed, is prevention in Erasmus's most direct sense. The wisdom that shapes thinking about human dignity before prejudice has established itself, costs a fraction of what the cure costs, and works more completely. Invest in prevention. It is incomparably the better investment. Desiderius Erasmus appears in Teams 43 and 44 as well, where his one-eyed king in land of blind observation anchored the practical wisdom layer. Born around 1466 in Rotterdam and becoming the most celebrated humanist scholar of the Northern Renaissance, Erasmus expressed this sentiment in his Adages, the massive collection of classical proverbs with commentary that was one of the most widely read books of the 16th century. His prevention is better than cure, from the Latin principiis obsta, resist the beginnings, was not original to him, but his articulation of it for his era made it the form that has been transmitted ever since. He understood the principle both medically and politically. The religious conflicts of his era were already beyond the prevention stage when he wrote, and he watched the Reformation's wars with the grief of a man who could see what earlier prevention might have achieved. This quote specifically encourages individuals to 1. Invest in wisdom education and community building before hatred has taken root, rather than waiting for the rehabilitation that must address it after it is formed, because prevention is genuinely the better investment at every level. 2. Apply the prevention principle to the mission's prioritization. Reach young people, reach communities before the habits of hatred are fully established, because the earlier the intervention, the smaller the cost, and the more complete the effect. 3. Recognize that the mission's workbooks and wisdom education are prevention in Erasmus's most direct sense. The wisdom that shapes thinking about human dignity before prejudice has entrenched is the incomparably more effective and less costly approach.
Quote 49.5. All things are difficult before they are easy. Thomas Fuller 1608-1661. Quote definition. Every skill, every capacity, every genuine competence that currently seems easy was at some earlier point genuinely difficult. And the difficulty was not evidence that it was beyond reach, but the normal and necessary precondition of the ease that practice eventually produces. The difficulty of any current beginning is not a sign that the thing cannot be mastered, but the universal condition of every mastery before it is achieved. Quote application. The work of replacing hatred with wisdom is difficult. Reaching resistant communities, building genuine trust across difference, changing deeply held beliefs through patient engagement. Thomas Fuller's principle is the standing reframe. This difficulty is not evidence that the work cannot be done, but the universal normal condition of every important thing before familiarity and practice make it easier. The difficulty is the beginning, not the barrier. Thomas Fuller was born in 1608 in Aldwinkle, St. Peters, Northamptonshire, the son of a clergyman, educated at Queen's College, Cambridge, and became one of the most prolific and most entertaining English writers of the 17th century. His Worthies of England, Church History of Britain, and collections of aphorisms and observations were enormously popular, and reflect a mind of genuine range, genuine humor, and genuine practical wisdom. He lived through the English Civil War as a moderate Anglican who managed to survive the conflict without fully satisfying either side, which required exactly the practical wisdom his aphorisms consistently demonstrate. His observation that all things are difficult before they are easy is characteristic of his compressed practical wisdom. The compression of a universal truth about the relationship between difficulty and eventual mastery that every person learning any skill has experienced, and that he articulated before most of them found the words for it. This quote specifically encourages individuals to 1. Receive the difficulty of genuinely important work as the universal normal condition of every mastery before it is achieved, not as evidence of impossibility, but as the beginning of the path toward the ease that practice produces. 2. Apply this reframe to every difficult stage of the mission's work. The difficult community engagement that hasn't yet become familiar, the hard conversation that hasn't yet become natural, the challenging wisdom principle that hasn't yet been absorbed. These are difficult because they haven't yet become easy, not because they cannot. 3. Trust Fuller's universal observation. All things are difficult before they are easy, which means the current difficulty is not the final condition, but the precondition of the ease that patient practice eventually produces.
Quote 49.6. A wise man proportions his belief to the evidence. David Hume 1711 to 1776. Quote definition. Genuine wisdom in belief formation is not the refusal to believe without perfect certainty but the calibration of belief to the strength of the available evidence. Holding beliefs with the confidence that the evidence supports and no more, adjusting as evidence changes, and refusing the comfortable certainty that exceeds what the evidence actually establishes. Proportioned belief is neither credulity nor skepticism, but the honest epistemic mean between them.
Quote application.
The thinking and feeling of Team 49 requires the disciplined thinking that Hume prescribes, believing what the evidence supports, with the confidence the evidence warrants, and adjusting when evidence changes. The mission's claims about what hatred costs and what wisdom produces should be held with exactly this proportionality, strongly enough to act on, honestly enough to update when the evidence provides reason to. David Hume appears in Team 48 as well, where his observation about truth springing from argument among friends anchored the engagement layer. Born in 1711 in Edinburgh and becoming the most important philosopher of the British empiricist tradition, Hume developed the principle of proportioning belief to evidence as a central element of his epistemology. His inquiry concerning human understanding contains the famous formulation, "A wise man proportions his belief to the evidence." He applied it consistently himself. His skepticism about causation, his agnosticism about religious claims, his careful distinction between what experience established and what custom and habit added to it were all expressions of the same proportioning discipline. He was sometimes accused of excessive skepticism, but his actual position was the moderate one he described: believe what evidence supports, with the confidence evidence warrants, and nothing more. This quote specifically encourages individuals to 1. Practice the proportioning discipline, holding beliefs with the confidence that evidence actually supports rather than the comfortable certainty that exceeds it, as the genuine intellectual honesty that both wisdom and effective action require. 2. Apply this to the mission's claims, hold the evidence-supported claims about hatred's costs and wisdom's effects with the confidence the evidence warrants, update when evidence changes, and refuse the overclaiming that exceeds what honest inquiry has established. 3. Recognize proportioned belief as the honest epistemic mean between credulity and paralytic skepticism, the stance that makes genuine action possible while maintaining the intellectual honesty that genuine wisdom requires.
Quote 49.7. Better a witty fool than a foolish wit. William Shakespeare 1564 to 1616. Quote definition. The fool who possesses genuine wit, the ability to see clearly and say so with comic precision, is more valuable and more honest than the apparently clever person whose wit is deployed in service of foolish ends or foolish self-certainty. Wit without genuine perception is decoration. Genuine perception delivered through wit is wisdom in its most effective social form. The witty fool sees truly. The foolish wit merely performs cleverness. Quote application. The church of snarky dimension of the mission lives in this principle. The commitment to genuine wit that serves genuine perception rather than the performed cleverness that impresses without illuminating. The irreverent Reverend Grandpaloo is the witty fool in Shakespeare's highest sense, seeing clearly and saying so with comic precision, which is worth incomparably more than the foolish wit that performs sophistication without possessing genuine insight. William Shakespeare was born in 1564 in Stratford-upon-Avon, educated at the King's New School in Stratford, married Anne Hathaway at 18, and produced between approximately 1590 and 1613 the 37 plays and 154 sonnets that constitute the most celebrated body of literary work in any language. The observation, better a witty fool than a foolish wit, comes from Twelfth Night, spoken by Fest, Shakespeare's most philosophically sophisticated fool, and it encapsulates Shakespeare's consistent exploration of the fool archetype. The character who by social position is excluded from serious discourse, but by genuine perception sees what the socially serious miss. His fools, Lear's fool, Touchstone, Fest, are consistently the most accurate observers in their plays, which is Shakespeare's sustained argument that genuine insight is not the exclusive property of social standing or conventional intelligence. This quote specifically encourages individuals to 1. Cultivate genuine wit in service of genuine perception, the comic precision that illuminates rather than merely entertains, rather than the performed cleverness that impresses without seeing. 2. Recognize the witty fool's genuine social function. The insight delivered through the fool's vehicle reaches places that the serious and dignified cannot, which is why the Smirk-worthy sermon and the Church of Snarky Voice are not supplementary to the mission, but central to it. 3. Apply Shakespeare's ranking directly. Genuine comic perception that sees truly is worth more than sophisticated cleverness that sees nothing, and the mission's humor aspires to exactly the former.
Quote 49.8. Happiness and moral duty are inseparably connected. George Washington, 1732 to 1799. Quote definition. Genuine happiness and genuine moral duty are not intention, they are expressions of the same underlying reality. The person who genuinely fulfills their moral duty does not sacrifice happiness for duty, but discovers that the genuine fulfillment of duty is itself the condition of genuine happiness. Conversely, the person who pursues happiness without regard for moral duty finds that what they pursue is not genuine happiness, but its counterfeit. Quote application. This is the closing principle of Team 49, the complete statement of thinking and feeling together. The passion for the mission's work, Hegel, the power of thought that guides it, Pascal, the prevention of harm through wisdom, Erasmus, the honest belief proportioned to evidence, Hume, all of these serve the moral duty of making America genuinely wiser and kinder. And Washington closes by naming what that service produces, the happiness that is inseparably connected to the duty faithfully performed. George Washington was born in 1732 at Pope's Creek, Virginia, largely self-educated, and served as Commander-in-Chief of the Continental Army and first President of the United States. He appears in teams 23 and 34 across these 52 teams. His observation about happiness and moral duty being inseparably connected was not a passing sentiment, but a considered conviction that appeared in several of his letters and addresses. He had thought carefully about the relationship between civic virtue and personal flourishing, and had concluded, consistent with the Stoic and Enlightenment traditions in which he was intellectually formed, that genuine happiness was not achievable apart from genuine moral duty. He had watched enough people pursue happiness through the violation of duty to understand that the pursuit consistently failed, and enough people fulfill duty honestly to understand that the happiness that followed was the genuinely inseparable kind. This quote specifically encourages individuals to 1. Understand the duty of making communities wiser and kinder not as the sacrifice of happiness for obligation, but as the path toward the happiness that genuine moral duty inseparably produces. 2. Apply Washington's inseparability principle to the mission's sustaining motivation. The work is not merely obligatory, but the condition of the genuine happiness that comes from fulfilling what is genuinely owed to human dignity. 3. Close Team 49's Think and Feel framework with a complete statement, passion and thought together, in service of genuine moral duty, produce the happiness that duty and happiness's inseparability guarantees.
How they work together as a unified philosophy to replace hate with motivational education to guidealife.com. The Think and Feel framework. Greatness layer, passion required and thought as humanity's power, quotes 1, 2. Hegel, established passion as the necessary condition of great accomplishment. Nothing great has ever been achieved without it, making genuine passionate commitment the fuel without which every other capacity falls short of greatness. Pascal, provide the thought that gives passion its direction and its greatest vehicle. Man's greatness lies in his power of thought, making the combination of passion and thought the complete condition of human greatness. Together, the fuel and the power of complete human greatness. Hegel's passion is what drives great accomplishment. No passion, no greatness, regardless of capacity or planning. Pascal's power of thought is what makes the passion productive, directing it, refining it, giving it the precision and depth that passion without thought cannot achieve. Together, passionate commitment driven by the power of genuine thought is the complete condition of great human accomplishment. Knowledge layer, knowing dissolves hatred and prevention over cure, quotes 3, 4. Lamb, reveal the specific antidote to hatred, genuine personal knowledge of the hated other, making the expansion of what is really known the most direct available intervention against hatred. Erasmus, apply the prevention principle, better to prevent than cure, ensuring that the wisdom education the mission provides is understood as the incomparably more effective and less costly investment than the rehabilitation of hatred already formed. Together, the antidote and the investment priority of the thinking and feeling mission. Lamb's knowing dissolves hating is the antidote mechanism, genuine personal knowledge is the specific cure for the specific poison of hatred. Erasmus's prevention over cure is the investment priority, the wisdom that prevents hatred from forming is less costly and more effective than the cure applied after formation. Create knowing before hatred forms, apply the antidote when it has. Persistence layer, difficulty as beginning and belief proportion to evidence, quotes 5, 6. Fuller, reframe every current difficulty as the universal normal condition of every mastery before it is achieved. All things are difficult before they are easy, removing the false inference from current difficulty to permanent impossibility. Hume, provide the epistemic discipline that thinking and feeling requires, proportioning belief to evidence, ensuring that the passionate commitment of Hegel is directed by the honest intellectual calibration rather than the comfortable certainty that exceeds what evidence establishes. Together, the persistence reframe and the epistemic discipline of genuine thinking and feeling. Fuller's difficulty as beginning ensures that the current hard work of genuine wisdom education is understood as the precondition of eventual ease rather than as permanent evidence of impossibility. Hume's proportioned belief ensures that the passionate commitment is guided by honest intellectual calibration, believing what evidence supports with the confidence it warrants, updating as evidence changes, never overclaiming. Wisdom layer, witty fool over foolish wit and happiness inseparable from duty, quotes 7, 8. Shakespeare, established genuine perception delivered through wit as the highest social wisdom, better a witty fool than a foolish wit, validating the church of snarky voice as the vehicle of genuine insight rather than mere entertainment. Washington, close the framework with the complete statement of thinking and feeling's ultimate integration, happiness and moral duty are inseparably connected, making the passionate pursuit of genuine wisdom in service of human dignity the path to the happiness that duty's faithful fulfillment inseparably produces. Together, the vehicle and the destination of complete thinking and feeling. Shakespeare's witty fool is the vehicle, genuine perception delivered through the comic precision that reaches where the serious and dignified cannot, making humor the servant of insight rather than its substitute. Washington's inseparable happiness and duty is the destination, the complete integration of what you feel, the passion, the happiness, and what you think and do, the duty, the wisdom, into the single unified life that genuine thinking and feeling produces.
Free Easy Extra Advantage Math, spelling and reading workbooks you can download for free at stop2think.com or buy at educationstopshate.com. Free Easy Math Wisdom Workbooks with octo repetition to grow math self-confidence. You'll get plenty of repetitive practice of age ranges and averages of our 52 teams of 8 quote authors. Free Easy Alpha Cipher-coded puzzles teach letters, numbers, and phrases using antique wisdoms that encourage and educate. Can you decode this cipher quote of encouragement using either our learning to spell or just for fun instructions? And since time is money, practice reading faster with 52 teams of antique rival wisdoms that have passed the test of time to encourage, educate, and entertain generations for centuries. We offer printed versions and timed videos with background music. Sign up for free weekly emails of 52 teams of antique rival wisdom workbooks with easy math, spelling, and reading practice. And, if you'd like to get paid for sharing our wearable wisdoms, keep this in mind. Everyone I know wears a shirt, and most of us change them daily, so change your shirt and change the world. Social equalities are blatantly subliminal antique positive wisdoms repetitively shared without saying a word. This applies to all our wearable shareable wisdoms. Like pretty witty baby onesies and baby tees that you and others will see and read multiple times a day. The same is true with pretty witty kids, but they'll also share these wisdoms with anyone that can read at daycare or school. Youthful truths let your kids gain confidence sharing antique wisdoms with their friends. Imagine them sharing words of wisdom with classmates and teachers. I think, therefore I think tees I wear is a super easy way to share words of wisdom that have passed the test of time. Our social equalities help make us all wiser and kinder with blatantly subliminal messages promoting a more fair and equal opportunity society for all. And don't forget our giftwisdoms.com for birthdays and holidays that makes it easy to share the wisdom with clothing, coffee mugs, and magnets. So do the future a favor by encouraging, educating, and entertaining with words of wisdom that have passed the test of time to make us all wiser and kinder. With wearable wisdoms to fit babies, kids, and adults. You can clothe a whole family, city, or state. Join the 52 of 8 today.